SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeeps.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com.
Are you sure?
Very sure. My name is Neil. It is a lovely, balmy Monday morning, January the 12th. It is technically our first episode of the new season. We did not go live last week because of Jeffrey, solely because of Jeffrey. Jeffrey.
Nothing to do with the fact that you were super sick and not confident that you could do an episode without me.
Jeff went to a foosball game.
Man, what a game to go to.
It was
really-
18 holes in Pittsburgh.
And it came down to the last
18 holes in Pittsburgh.
It came down to the last putt.
Yeah. Were they going to birdie? Were they going to par?
Stop it. If you are
They missed the basket.
if you my gosh, if you are a foosball fan like I am, it's been an epic season.
Absolutely. Even the playoffs so far this past weekend were
yes, and
just
Jeffrey
nail biters.
Jeffrey had an unusual opportunity presented to him via a family member as a kind of a gift. And we support you in taking that in preparation, knowing that you might not be back immediately in time because it was a late night game and all that kind of stuff. We had said that you would show us how to run that equipment. And then I was dealing with the plague. So here we are, folks. And today we're going to do our best to pick up where we've left off. As the usual, I'm joined in Grandma's Couch Studio
By the producer guy over there.
Jeff
the
Shermani.
Italian Stallion.
Yeah. And his nice SJ special hoodie that has his name on it.
Yeah. And you're wearing the Snap-on hoodie that is similar in style.
I was gonna
There's
say,
a whole story about that Snap-on hoodie.
it only costs you, I don't know, like $15,000.
Sometime we'll
and
have to
and
go
10
into
years of buying tools.
something.
So anyways, that's the mad scientist, Scott Brown, sitting over there.
And we are going to be discussing the tops of the ages. And but with that said, I do want to touch on some interesting information that was kind of trickled out to the talking heads of the industry last
I'm going to
week.
leave you on a cliffhanger, and we're going to come back to what that is after I read some of the comments here.
Fair.
But that way, you guys have to guess what the information is. Nate said good morning. He was first. Mike Lentz said good morning. Daddy Jeep said good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Nate gave me a shout out for helping him troubleshoot what he believes is a bad oil cooler housing on his Gladiator. Daddy Jeep said we have to stay on topic because he's got a meeting at 11. Well, Rob, you know that's not going to happen.
Yikes.
Bill McWilliams says good morning. Billy Joe says good morning. Nate is taking a mulligan because I slacked off, and that's why the show was canceled last week, so I don't get that thank you after all. And then Jeannie saying good morning and nice to see you all back.
Good morning to everybody. We are so thankful for you participating in the comment section, and understand if you are listening to us at a later date, you too can join us virtually every Monday at 10:19 a.m. You can jump on the Book of Faces or the YouTubes and get into the comment section and follow along and get to share with these other nice individuals, kind of chatter and whatnot as you see fit. So, and Jeffrey probably needs that mulligan on the thank you because he was off partying without us. But I'm not jaded or anything.
Right? I mean, it was only the best Steelers-Ravens game of like the last
forever.
10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jeep Chrysler Stellantis, the mothership, has officially, proverbially, figuratively, literally pulled the plug on PHEVs.
4xe is dead.
Yep, the 4xe is dead. And realistically speaking, this I guess comes as no surprise to anyone, I guess, because of a multitude of factors. They had reasonably told us years ago we were going to get a 4xe Gladiator. They went ahead and that was the wish that never came true, despite them telling us.
It's usually on the truck market, so that's fine.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yeah, I was going to say they said we're going to get a PHEV, which is plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, understanding that this is a vehicle that terminology, let's just call it is what it is you literally plug it in at your house or a charging station, and then you additionally have a internal combustion engine, and then a hybrid electric motor as well. So this is intended to be kind of the best of everything. The Swiss Army knife of propulsion would be how I would have liked to have sold it originally. However, it has been plagued with problems since its inception. And arguably right now, many of the Wrangler PHEV owners are on their second and third battery recalls, where they're being told that they should not be charging their vehicle at home in an enclosed space, or just should not be charging their battery at all. They should be running off of that 4-cylinder turbo engine that they have, which again is a super cool concept, but based on the materials available to us as an industry, the computer control and the battery technology continue to be problematic in these specific models.
So I have a prediction.
Okay.
So we've seen this before on other-ish things. Someone right now is circling the wagons and looking up all the part numbers for the 4xe that is specific. And someone is going to be hoarding 4xe stuff.
And this is a great segue into today's conversation, because we're going to see a vehicle both within the Grand Cherokee platform and within the 4xe Wrangler platform.
Yep.
That is going to become antiquated, right? So we had, what's that?
It's going to become orphaned.
Right, because now we have this multi-year production with, and I don't actually know what the production numbers are, but I'm going to gather 750,000 vehicles. That would be my guess between Wranglers and Grand Cherokees.
I'd say someone look that up and tell Neil how wrong or right he is in the comments.
And I'm suspecting that in our production of PHEVs. Now, it's really valuable, I sidebar right here and now, to say that Jeep Stellantis is specifically claiming the death of the PHEV. They are not saying they're killing the 4xe. And that is an important differentiation because if you saw my excitement over the Jeep Recon, you know that the Recon is utilizing the 4xe badge namesake.
Right.
And that is a strategic marketing tactic. Jeff, do you have some numbers for us?
Over 350,000 between the Wrangler 4xe and the Grand Cherokee 4xe. 250,000 on the Wrangler and 100,000 on the Grand Cherokee.
Yep.
Okay.
So someone right now is starting a business just specifically for Grands.
So we have we have a little over 250,000, but not the 750,000 that I was thinking.
No.
We have, roughly 350,000. You're saying just Grands. Oh my gosh.
Well, we've seen it before.
We have.
We find the people, we hear all the time, like, how can you be a business that just focuses on Jeep because that's too niche. We have seen the niche of the niche of the niche
Absolutely.
of the market, and those people seem to be fairly happy and somehow opening doors every day.
I agree with you. I mean, there is a individual out there who is making a very specific bearing race assembly for quadra-track cases,
From
76 to
73 to 79.
73 to 79.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's what this individual does. He makes this bearing race
So impassioned by
Yes.
the love of the quad
that
and
it
he
makes
a
this.
bearing.
Good for you, dude. But regardless, so we have 350,000 of these plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. They're pulling the plug on now. Mopar in general had some other platforms and whatnot, and I think that some of those preliminary numbers of that 3/4 conversation may include, I think the Durango was PHEV at one time. I don't know if you can, what other PHEVs that Stellantis had. Regardless, specifically that 4xe namesake is going to move on to a fully electrified Recon. I think there's going to be a fully electric Gladiator or Grand Cherokee
So, yeah, I don't
and
believe you.
Wagoneer. They're going to have fully electrified versions
It
of
makes
that.
sense to take, a namesake that is already flirting with things burning down to just go full electric so we can just
Well, and that's the thing is that while I love all forms of propulsion, it seems like Stellantis corporate and Jeep North America and whatnot wants to just close this chapter, like turn the page and pretend that chapter doesn't exist.
As Stellantis as a whole got rid of all PHEV, which is crazy, and because they led the market in that.
Correct.
And that's Chrysler Pacifica,
Yes.
Dodge Hornet, the Alfa Romeo, or Romeo, however you want to say it,
That's right.
and then the Jeeps, the two Jeeps.
So I read that the Chrysler Pacifica, I read an entire article dedicated to PHEV Pacifica in the sense that it actually led the market in minivans, and certainly within its class of PHEV, was the number one selling, number one safety rated, had all these indicators.
it makes perfect sense to axe that then.
And then by axing that, right. So that's exactly the conversation, was that we axed an entirety of a chapter. And that's what goes beyond the Jeep stuff. That's where I nerd out on things, folks, because I'm not just interested. I am primarily interested in Jeeps, but I'm interested in Stellantis's activities as a whole.
Yeah.
And
Stellantis as a whole had a 22% market share of the U.S. plug-in hybrid segment.
correct.
That's insane.
Correct.
Somebody's totally making a business on just Pacifica
Now-
HEPV.
Right.
Now, my question, because I nerd out on the business side of things as well, is why, if you have such a commanding market share, would you axe that program? There's got to be other details to it.
Yeah.
There's
well,
got to be. Was it not profitable? You could have the number one share and not be profitable. It could be a loss leader.
and that's what it is. That is what it is, and I hate to exactly talk about the elephant in the room, but I think we do have to talk about facts in the sense that it was a depreciating market demand. Right? That's fact. We can talk about people's desire to buy the product decreased. Now, why? I'm not going to get into that, but I can confidently say that people's desire to buy the product decreased. What I will get into to say is that when we have active multiple recalls on potential fire and damage to property,
Right.
that's not confidence inspiring. We have a general piece that's kind of socially, that there's a whole talking point regarding whether or not electrification is necessary at a federal and global level, and or sustainable. And then ultimately we have a financial piece that was the fact that Stellantis was highly subsidized, and those subsidies have gone away. So the subsidies for the consumer to purchase that, and that was a big part of the 4xe Wrangler. It was a $7,500 tax credit when it initially came out. does not exist anymore, and the subsidization of the production at the manufacturing level to initiate this technology and get it available to people, because that takes a ton of time, energy, and resource. And those funds are all gone. So there are facts without trying to muddy the waters with intent. With that said, they're still moving forward with full electrification. We've seen in the process of, say, Tesla, there is a market demand. There is viability. There are people who do want that. And there is the MPGe, which is when they run hybrid capacity. For example, the Pacifica was pushing over 80 miles, 82 MPGe, if I remember that. People did like that kind of stuff, and they do, and we're going to continue to want that, especially as we see increased fuel costs. And so there's why they want to go all the way to E to work on that, getting closer to the, say, Tesla 200, 250, kind of range as what they're supposed to be having. So we'll see if it happens. But largely becoming an antiquated technology where I wonder how that's going to affect pricing of those models and relativity. Because in 10 years from now, you have to know that if you're going to buy a PHEV vehicle, and 10 years from now, are you going to be able to get parts? Is there going to be people who can work on it? Are there going to be software updates available? We recognize here internally at SFJ 4x4, our point of sale system, our Wi-Fi router, which at the time that we purchased those, they're not that old in the grand scheme of life. We bought good, quality, productive, valuable
upper-end equipment. Yep.
And we're not 10 years removed, and those manufacturers have said, we're not giving you software updates for your electronic equipment.
My laptop.
You should buy new equipment now.
My laptop literally came up and said, "Hey, do you want to look at new computers?" I was shocked. I was like, "What?"
Here we have a vehicle that's being a vehicle series, PHEVs as a whole, being phased out. There's not going to be a dealership tech in 10 years from now who knows how to work on that vehicle. Heck, they barely know how to work on it right now.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Keith Yauman. Keith Yauman is a lifetime dealer technician. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean, I get real fired up because Keith's been in the game for 30, 35 years. He's a great follow. He follows online. Sometimes he jumps in the comments and everything. He's been in the dealership sphere for decades. And he's among one of the few individuals who knows these systems and can do the battery swaps efficiently at his dealerships. He's a sought out commodity. The younger guys who are coming into the dealerships don't even know how to work on them. Mm-hmm. 10 years from now, we're not going to know how to work on these.
I was going to say, they ended this line at the time that people were just starting to learn it.
Correct.
So the knowledge for it is very limited and is going to go away very quickly.
Yes. And the part availability, hence Scott's contention that right now there's somebody out there clamoring for these parts and pieces. Granted, how many people is it really going to affect? If it is, and again, taking into consideration the Hornets, the Pacificas, and I thought you mentioned one other one, I don't recall. If it's 500,000, if it's between 500 and the 750,000 units, do we just let those go to the crusher? I don't know how we handle this as a society, as an automotive
niche business.
Yes,
because there will be a big share that'll go to the crusher, but just like we saw, I don't know if you had seen it, but the first fully electric GM vehicle from the 90s. And they tried, and then they end up taking it back and crushing them all.
Yes.
Yep.
There is literally somebody restoring one right now because they were able to, like, this loophole, get one.
Yep.
And there is a whole seam of the enthusiast market that is excited for these different vehicles. So I completely expect, that's what I'm saying. They're literally circling the wagons
will survive,
right now, looking for, this is the parts I need to stock up on before they go out of stock. This is the information I need to latch on to. I need to do some reverse engineering. How can I make it better? All that's happening right now for the empowered and impassioned people.
Now, with that said, and I don't want to kick this dead, partially electrified vehicle horse any longer, where it does actually have applicability is the last 80-some years of production of our Jeeps as we know it with the top technology.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that we do want to talk about today as well, because, arguably getting away from the divisive nature of electrification and propulsion systems, which, again, I will stand on the fact that I like all things that propel forward and reverse and wheels and motors. And I stand on that. I will die on that hill. I don't care if it's a V8. I don't care if it's a turbine. I don't care if it's a steam engine. I like all things that make vehicles move, right? And so that makes me an automotive enthusiast. I take a lot of heat online for that. But we'll get away from that divisive conversation to a degree and talk about top technology. And prior to our brief winter break, I think Jeffrey, even in part of the game he was playing, he mentioned the Arctic top. Mm-hmm. One of the things that makes Jeeps unique from the get-go was the fact that our flagship vehicle has been convertible. Mm-hmm. And the ability to take doors off, right? So when we look at the Wrangler platform specifically, we're trying to even retain that in the Recon with the intention, despite the fact that it's not in a traditional sense convertible. It's got the one-touch sky opening, and you got panels that can be removed, and the door can be removed. So even in this fully electrified, glorified Tesla-esque SUV, we're still trying to take the top off of it.
Yep.
Right? So as that plays out, one of the things that we tried to share with people is that the modern soft tops and hard tops that our Gladiators and our Wranglers have is by far the best top technology we've ever stinking had.
Yep.
And yet it still leaves a lot of these Jeep owners
better than
wanting.
the Bronco.
Well, it is better than the Bronco. Hold on. 100%. And I thought it was funny because, obviously we talked about the. I wish I could remember from that episode. We were playing the game and you brought up the Arctic top or a special package or something.
And they've done that a lot. And we actually, this was kind of my brainchild, and we're going to be working on sort of what makes each model kind of special and what are the little 10 things you don't know about a very common known Jeep. For each model, because there's always these questions that kind of pop up every 4 to 5 years as ownerships roll and you get something new and you never owned it before, and trying to figure out, well, why does it have this and why does that work out, and really that kind of has always been a big thing with tops. Specifically, I think they're a good spot to start with, because we have guys that'll come in like, I want a vintage Jeep, and fives were made forever, and we're the million kind of production run. So people will go out and they'll look and see what the market holds, and more often than not, they find a 5, but they don't know what that means to own a 5.
Right.
We've had big burly guys, get to a certain point in the build, and then they're like,
Ryan. I'm just calling Ryan out. Ryan, we're talking about you.
He was like, I don't know if I fit in that small space right there.
Yep.
But for those that don't know, CJ5s never had a hard top from the factory. If you got a top at all, you got a full canvas, including the doors, soft top.
Right.
And yes, the Willys tops were probably worse, but I'm going to go out and say that the 5 was just the armpit of topdom.
Here's what I think, and I want to make sure, because right now there's keyboard warriors, readying their injustice.
The guys that had bought out all those side soft doors for CJ5s when they retired them in '83.
Right.
That was the best Jeep they ever made.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. First of all, elaborate upon. There were special packages that were dealer packages that included hardtops at the time. There were multiple aftermarket hardtop manufacturers because people needed and wanted to utilize the Jeeps in wintry conditions or inclement conditions or year round and whatnot.
Wanted to use their 4-wheel drive in the winter?
Correct.
Craziness.
Without it snowing back into the Jeep, which is, of course, you know, not just an option, but that actually is a requirement of a soft top Jeep of that
Absolutely.
vintage. And
You're one with the weather.
right. I mean, and you know, it goes back to that thing that Jeffrey had said. You know, that's what was a you know, special about when he was talking about the Arctic top, or the Jeep came with the top. Or
It's actually the white cap, and it's part of the 12 for 12 promo that Jeep.
no, not that.
Yep.
Not that. No, it was about the actual.
You're like 40 years too late, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it was actually about like the CJ series, like
Yeah.
CJ 2As and whatnot. And regardless, that wasn't a factory top per se.
Yeah. I mean, the M38 is actually where the need for a better winter top came from, is because GIs and MBs were literally freezing to death inside of Jeep with no top whatsoever.
Right.
And they were like, maybe we should give you something. So a little piece of canvas and some windows
Right.
is better than nothing.
And we were supposed to appreciate that. And I think
Yeah.
one time the American Spirit did. They were like, well, at least I'm not driving around
Only my
topless.
pinky fell off this ride.
That's right. I got called out last week because I took one of our convertible Jeeps. We have a CJ7 in the shop. It needed to be driven, and I needed a little wind therapy after the
He does.
the way that the world. I love driving Jeeps in the winter. I don't know that I could. I do it because it's novel, because I appreciate that brief moment of the discomfort that it provides, kind of like riding the Harley when when the weather sucks. But I'm not doing it for every single day. I'm not the GI waking up who needs to go check the perimeter and drive this topless Jeep.
Yeah.
So we needed the tops, and we appreciated the canvas enclosure, despite the fact that the elements would still get in on us in a 10% or 20% or 30% of it.
Yeah.
At least I wasn't getting soaked.
Yeah. Wasn't 100%.
So your
anyway.
contention, real quick, your contention is that iconic era of Jeeps, right? We're moved away from the CJ 2As and that era. Let's move to the iconic.
Yeah.
Those fives where people go,
a little
hey.
more relatable.
Right.
So-
That's where people get excited and they're like, well, I'm going to buy this.
But it's
what I
hysterical
picture as a
almost to a point where they come in and they're like, well, let's talk about top options. And I just look at them like that there isn't any.
They all suck still. Best Top makes a top.
And they're like, well, what color options do I have? You don't. You can get black.
Right.
And how does it seal up? It doesn't.
It's not a modern top. It's just the best retrofit that they can do with what they've got.
The best thing that has happened to that top in the last 40 years is they removed the snaps that you had to drill into the side of your Jeep, and now you have the little trim piece that you pop the rollover on the side. That was the biggest thing that had happened since.
Yeah, and if I wasn't being cynical, if I was trying to look
1990.
at it like rose-colored glasses, I would tell you they've improved the fabric, and obviously the material workmanship is a little bit better, and they don't have the snaps and whatnot. It's still not a JT or a JL soft top. It just never will be. Nobody, Best Top, Weathermaster, Master Top, whoever, nobody is actually investing the time, energy, and resource to do the multifaceted approach to giving a CJ5 or a CJ7 the modern conveniences of today's top technology.
Now,
It's just not happening.
and like normal, Jeep does listen to us a little bit. So they listen to the crying and whining of the CJ5 people back then, and the fact they couldn't get in because their tub was into their door jamb. And they came out with the CJ7, was had a bigger door. Now you actually could get hard doors with glass windows that rolled up and down. Craziness. And you could now get a fiberglass hard top from the factory with a steel back window for some reason that rusted away in 3 years. Why? I don't know. But it's like we're almost all fiberglass, and we're going to go back.
Decisions were made.
So anyway, and right there is probably a thing that people don't know. Why can you not find a CJ7 hardtop with 90% of them on the market have no back window? Because they were steel, and they fell off.
Where does all the schmutz on a dirt road or on a? I don't care. You're just driving it. It's a flat back vehicle. Collects all the schmutz.
Goes right back there. But still could get, for those ones that like to suffer, you could still get the full soft top with soft doors Jeep that would leak on you. And you still have leaks with the hard top, but it was a step in the right direction. It was like, now, like my wife's CJ7, the only place that really leaks is the tailgate, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But anyway, that's something that people do not think about with that. And we can't even go into bow structure because they changed that like umpteen million times.
Sure.
And the aftermarket changed it a bunch. But all intents and purposes, they still weren't that great.
I need people to know when I got into Jeeps, we had a soft top. I actually had multiple soft tops because I had a soft top on our CJ2A. Mm-hmm. We had soft tops on our YJs.
How often did you put the soft top on the 2A? Or was it in the corner and you just said, I have a soft top over there for it?
So the soft top was on the Jeep. Okay.
Once.
You know what? I mean, multiple times. So here's the thing, right? I need this to I try to talk about the fact that I've done everything the hard way. I promise you that.
I can attest to that.
And people from the outside looking in at this point in the game make their judgments based on what they see on the interwebs. And that's whatever. I can't control human nature. But I've literally done everything the hardest way possible. And I had the CJ2A 40s. We have 46. We have 48. We actually had the top on multiple times, right? Because it would have made too much sense, like you said, to take it off and leave it the heck off. But no, my family, we were supposed to be able to use this. And so therefore we did. We literally had independent bows that had to be pinned into place when the top went on and off. So if you guys think about your soft top, or if you have somebody in the club, maybe you're a hard top person and you have somebody in the club, that just kind of folds back nicely and all of the apparatus folds back in kind of a uniform fashion. We would have to peel back the canvas and individually remove bows and then set them off to the side. The intention was not necessarily that they did break down to go into the Jeep, but it was cumbersome. It was like carrying around a bunch of extra tools and parts.
And the canvas was like trying to fold the largest fitted sheet you'd ever seen for a bed.
Abso-stinking-lutely.
Nobody could ever, once it came out of the package, it wasn't going back in.
That's right. And so these were independent bows that had to be removed piece by piece by piece and put back piece by piece by piece and lined up piece by piece by piece.
Yeah. It's like the Christmas trees we grew up with, where they had all the color coding and the certain spots on the pole. And if you accidentally put the orange branch,
no, because I'm not a poser, and I go out in the world and I have a live tree that dies for my enjoyment.
Which is why you just don't play with the top on those Jeeps.
Which, thank you, the Greg Christmas Tree Farm, but not sponsored.
Because I absolutely grew up with the color coded, and I understand.
Regardless.
It's just an order of
that's
things.
The
That's all
nature
I'm
of
saying.
the tops at that time.
If you accidentally put bow 3 and bow 2 spot,
things don't work.
You're gonna have a bad time. It wasn't going to work.
And that was what we did with those tops. You had to have some knowledge, some inclination. You had to have some. You
had to have a hammer and a crescent wrench.
Yes.
And a screwdriver, and you had to fuss with it.
Yeah. It's not enjoyable. It's not mass consumer friendly. It's not, it's going to rain today. I might, take my top with me and take it down right now and put it back up. And
choices are made at the beginning of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it down because it's nice out, and then it's cold at night, and you try to put it back.
You're not doing any of that. That wasn't what we did. And we're not talking this was that long ago. This was literally just in the last 25, 30 years. So again, the tops that we have now are light years ahead of what we had then.
So let me get just back on track. And I have to go off topic for 2 seconds and say, if you see a CJ7 with half doors, those are not CJ7 doors. They never made a soft upper door for a CJ7. You could get a full canvas door or a full metal door with a glass window. That was your 2 options. The lucky thing is, because Jeep is cheap, when they designed the YJ, even though it was an all-new Jeep and a complete differentiation from the old, the tubs are 92.36% the same as the CJ7.
Right.
So you could take a YJ half door and walk over to your CJ7 and drop it on and latch it, even though most CJ owners hate YJs. So
Go figure.
So figure.
I just want a point of clarification. You said 25 to 30 years, but we're talking CJs.
I'm saying when I was messing with these bows
Okay.
was 25, 30 years ago.
Okay.
When he was
I just wanted to clarify
I was
because
just-
I think we were a little older than
No,
you think.
no. 25, 30 years ago, and I'm messing with Willie's soft tops and YJ soft tops was just 25, 30 years ago, and we were using the best of the technology we had available at then for those tops.
Fair.
That's what I'm sharing.
Just because I know that we've talked about TJs
Sure.
being historic.
Well, and that's actually this whole top
trying to hurt
conversation.
me over there.
And I know that Scott has a path, but I literally just had this conversation about a TJ that we have in the shop right now, and he had a ratted out soft top on it, and I sold him a hard top for cheap in good condition. And I personally am an individual who I actually, when it comes to that older technology, I see value in having a hard top. And then when it's a good day, just take the hard top off. Now I'm also a big dude who can handle a hard top. I also don't mind keeping my hard top in precarious places. I grew up keeping our hard tops under the tree in my parents' backyard.
The squirrels and the rabbits thank you for the shelter.
Correct. Correct. You're mowing past it and you just pray every time you mow, and you make sure your discharge is shooting the other direction of the top.
Yeah.
Whereas I factually know people who that makes their eyes twitch and cringe. They could never possibly think about keeping their top on the ground, even if it was just shored up on some pieces of wood or a pallet or whatever.
I've seen some pretty cool top holding
Hoist
pictures.
systems, and it's supposed to be garaged and it's kept pristine. That is the world we're living in, where that's marketed to you every single day on the Instagram and the Book of Faces, and that's how you're supposed to keep it top. I grew up the hard top. We took the hard top
Set
off.
it in
We
the
put
grass.
we set it in the grass next to the tree, and we moved on with life.
Yeah.
And it's going to be crummy.
If you were extra careful, you put some blocks under it before you set it down in the ground.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Because again, how we relate to these vehicles has changed, and I understand the cost of replacement parts has also changed. And now a replacement top is exorbitant in comparison to what it once was because of the nature of what the construction material is. But with that said, the TJ owner, I said, hey, listen, I'll sell you this hard top for cheap. Run a bikini top in the summer. Get one of those rain fly covers. We all have them, whether you buy a name brand one or an Amazon one. They're all actually pretty decent for the price you're paying. Throw the top on when you're, at work or in school or at the restaurant. Take the top, take that rain fly top off and drive home when you're done.
Yeah.
To me, again, seems very overly simplified. But I recognize for customers who might have mobility or strength issues, putting up and down the top
Or
regularly.
just don't know what they're buying. They don't have the idea of what they're actually signing up for. And that's, again, I had a phone call this morning, and the guy says, hey, I have a YJ, bought a hard top, and my doors don't fit. And I said, let me guess, you have half doors. He says, yeah, how'd you know? Because we've been dealing with this problem since 1987.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, YJs, when they came out, they heard the cry of the CJ7 owner wanting this half door. And they thought, well, we're going to make this simple. If you have a soft top, you get half doors.
Yep.
And if you have a hard top, you get full
Full door.
doors. And they're basically a copy of the CJ7 door with a little
couple upgrades in the
but
process.
for general sakes, late CJ7 door and a YJ door, pretty much the same.
Yep.
So anyways, the problem then falls if you have a YJ with a hard top and full doors and you want...
They didn't quite retool things.
No.
They knew that they could satisfy market demand,
Yep.
but they didn't invest in actually making the solution seamless. They approached it in a twofold manner.
Yeah, you go up this path or that path,
but you don't get to go up
cross.
Both. Yep.
Unless you want to buy both paths and store both paths,
which we did. I'm saying literally my family. Again, we did everything the hard way for you, our listeners.
Yeah,
we did. My dad, we had both, and we would put both on and off the vehicle with regularity.
Yes. It was a Jeep, had lots of accessories.
And
if you're lucky, they all matched paint wise.
Oh, and they did, and that was a contender for buying and selling at the time. It would be like, this Jeep comes with both a soft door, half doors, soft uppers, and full doors, and blah blah blah. And then the aftermarket saw a need because the manufacturer obviously dropped the ball. Chrysler, as the owner at that time, didn't make the round upper. You haven't gotten to this, but the aftermarket went ahead and started making uppers for the half doors
for 2 seconds.
Oh, absolutely.
At this point, I don't even bring them up when I talk to people because
it's not worth telling.
It's not worth telling them because it only existed for 2 seconds. They don't exist anymore.
Steel Horse, Acme, a handful of them made these uppers
like garbage.
Yeah, that's whatever. We were happy for it.
Yeah,
but what we haven't elaborated on is that the bow structure of the YJ soft top at that time, because now you can get a rounded bow structure, but at that time was
all right angles.
Yeah, it was a 90-degree angle. It was a little harsher than that, but but that's why the soft uppers of that half door construction
are the sharpest corner.
They are. And then full doors on both the CJ and the YJ were rounded.
Yeah.
And so, we had this, like you said, this ongoing battle of people who don't know what they don't know and trying to mix and match them. And the aftermarket comes in and tries to give us rounded. So now we're back to the TJ, I think.
And TJ then saw the ills of their ways.
Right.
And then you could get a top of your half door that was round and would sort of work with your hard top. And you could get a hard top equipped Jeep with a soft top at the same time, and your full doors would work with the soft top. It was revolutionary until you realized when you went home from the dealership, you had to remove your hard top to unbury the soft top, to unwrap it, to then install it yourself. They just were nice and gave you the stuff.
Yeah, it was good. It was good overall.
Overall, it was pretty good. But the biggest takeaway is it gets fuzzy as a memory goes. And now the DJ and the YJ kind of get blurred and they don't realize how much change happened between models and levels.
Well, and again, I think that part of it also has there's this romance or nostalgia. Somebody who has purchased a JK recently or a JL, a JT, one of the latter models within the last 10 to 15 years. And they go, man, I would like that iconic blah Jeep. And they don't recognize just how far removed that model is from the modern day conveniences that they currently have.
Well, and not only that, again, another phone call is JK tops. There was an evolution of those over the course of the manufacture, and brackets and bow structure and that kind of stuff all slightly changed as you went along. Now, if you go in and you buy a brand new top and it comes with all the bracketry, you're good to go. Where the problem goes is when you go to buy a used top that's in gentle condition. They drove it home, they took the soft top off, they stuck it in the corner, pieces get lost, rats drag things away, who knows what, the cat took it, that kind of stuff. Now you're looking for this random piece, this random bracket, and you don't realize 2 doors and 4 doors don't share brackets. 2 doors and 4 doors don't share bows. 2 doors and 4 doors don't share top structure. All that is different. And we could have been, I'm just going to make something up, but you could have been 4 years in and suddenly decide that bracket that goes on the roll bars actually needs to be slightly different. So we're going to supersede that part. Well, that means all those tops before that use this specific bracket, and all the tops after that use that bracket. And you can change the brackets and make things play nice, but what bracket do you need for what?
Right.
now that you're going back and maybe you have like an 09 top and you're trying to put it on a 17, well, now how do things interconnect and work?
That's factual, actually.
That's 100%.
I real quick want to jump into the comments because we've had a lot of comments and we haven't done a good job of keeping up with those today. So Roy joined us, said good morning. Jugga Jeepers joined us, said sorry he was late. Yvonne joined us and said have a great morning. There, as we scroll through, Jerry Huber said a reasonably priced Rubicon 4xe is not a good candidate for a Hemi swap. Just saying.
I don't know. I'm willing to try personally.
Of course you are.
Of course you are. We had a bunch of different comments about the tops and heat and needing tops, not needing tops, whatever. Fred's in the comments saying I have a mold to make CJ7 hardtop lift gates.
I knew he did. I knew he did, and I wasn't going to call him out by name, but Fred does. I've seen his.
I had a fiberglass for a gate. It didn't. The one I had didn't fit worth crap.
Yeah, but again, not all fiberglass.
I bet you Fred's is better.
Fred's is probably better.
Then Daddy Jeep said before he has to go to do work stuff, the Bantam registration is live now, and a couple other people had mentioned that. There are some really exciting things in the work for next year. What are those? He's not telling yet. So stay tuned because I'm sure Daddy Jeep will let us know as he's allowed to. Then we've got Stroke Guy Overland 5060 saying happy Monday, guys. And then Jerry YJ, the square corner versus the round corner is still a mystery.
Yeah, 100%. And, it is one of those things that as an industry, and to me, when the topic of today was, the top, again, I think it's valuable to keep revisiting because this podcast does reach a lot of not just longitudinal Jeep owners, but new Jeep owners as well, to kind of continue to talk about this, because we get emails and messages from people all the time saying, oh, I learned so much. I didn't know this, or I was unfamiliar with that, or I thought I had heard about this, that kind of stuff. And so I think it's valuable to keep talking about it. But for me, it relates directly to Stellantis pulling the plug on these PHEVs, because we create a top technology. We create a technology to meet a market need for whatever's happening in the community
in that
globally in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it within reason with the best of what we can muster up in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And hindsight always being 2020, we recognize we can look back and be like, oh wow, that was not awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we can look back having lived through some of these top debacles and be like, well, that is not awesome. Where somebody else could be looking in on it being like, oh, that's so overly romanticized.
That's quaint.
That's quaint. That would be really cool to have
love
that.
it when my sharp corner top doesn't fit my round corner top.
Absolutely. And,
we're living it like it's 1994.
Oh, boy. And, and arguably, it is important to continue to talk about these things, to share these experiences, to inform people the good, the bad, and the otherwise, to say where we're at right now with our top technology is the best we have ever been. But that perspective is light years from where we once came.
And Broncos.
And
Broncos.
Well, Bronco engineers were just like, hey, Jeep's been producing something for 30 years. I'm not going to look.
I think they bought a CJ5 and used that as their model.
That is absolutely the most straightforward thing they could have done, but how crappy they made their soft tops.
They're like,
initially.
oh, we'll put a bikini top on it, and then we'll throw some side panels and see if it works.
But they don't need to connect.
They don't need to connect.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Wind does not happen.
Super weird. But, but the...
Mind the gap.
The talking point with the tops, folks, and the other thing that I think is important to address is tops becomes it sounds silly, but a deeply personal issue. And I had started to talk about the fact that I recognize that not everybody has mobility or the ability to open and close their soft top. That's why they might go for a power top, which is now being called the E-top by Best Top, My Top, Performer Design.
And that's why you have the basically a huge sunroof that folds back now.
The one touch, Skyview one touch, because again, as you mentioned, maybe you don't need the whole complete and absolute stripped down feeling.
Right.
You might want to invest in that. We have not, as a people and as Jeep owners, said this is the one top you get and this is all you get, right?
Yeah.
We like the options, and the manufacturer continues to try to meet our needs.
We're Jeep people. We like our accessories.
We do, and I jokingly, I don't know, I talk about for the most part, the modern day Impala, it's just a sedan, just a hard top, those people, you can either get a sunroof or maybe not, you know what I mean? That's about as much of an option you get out of, I'm just make something. My wife had a 2008 Impala. That's pretty much all you got. You got a solid roof and you got a sunroof in it. Whereas, Jeep historically has been trying to stand by this full convertible experience and therefore meet the needs of modern individuals.
And you can make it a truck in a pinch with the right top.
Why are you doing this? Why?
Because I know you like it.
I do. I love.
You might have a TJ that looks like a little bit like a little
I don't
mini
know that we
pickup
have
truck.
time to go down that rabbit hole.
There's a whole other conundrum there as far as tops and half tops and that kind of stuff is concerned. I think maybe the potential takeaway in this moment is is an encouragement to not overly romanticize the older models and their tops. If you are a new,
you can romanticize it. Just be ready for the licks that come when you realize
for the reality sinks in and you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And what Scott is referencing is I have this little farm Jeep TJ that has not even a good half cab on it. It literally just has a bikini top and a divider, what they used to call a windjammer. And I'm desperate to drive this Jeep in a full-time capacity, and yet I have no time to work on anything of my own. That's why I literally have multiple daily driver Jeeps of my own that I'm not driving to just sit broken because I'm never working on my own stuff. And yet I love the idea that I have like a little truck bed. I can throw some trash or spare tire, pick up some parts, just throw them in the bed of the little Jeep, whatever. And just so you know, half cabs, and I know Jerry Huber is watching. He's a lucky duck. He has the J8 conversion, and that one is meant to be a fully sealed up half cab, which converts a JK Unlimited into a short wheelbase pick 'em up truck. Whereas TJs, you had to go with like a great tops or a brute conversion, and it's always amazing people fawning over those changes. Understand, if you have one of these one-off Jeeps, you've now taken that same antiquated top construction or phased out PHEV and you've narrowed it down even further, because now we're going off of a brute conversion that might have had a 1 year only production seal.
To make it even better, it's just something that always sticks in my mind. They made a scrambler with a full metal top. I think it was metal. That was specifically for Alaska, for mail delivery.
Yep.
And there is a little group pining over these.
Oh, and they bring big money. Yep, the Alaskan mail Jeep has a postal Jeep, has dedicated collectors, followers, restorationists.
And it is a specific top just for that, because most scramblers for the rest of the great 50 states had a half cab. This was not that way.
As a full enclosure.
It was
or a really super crappy soft top, which had even more bows than my Willys did.
Yeah. The only thing worse than that was the CJ6 soft top.
Oof.
Just one of the last comments here. Nate said, I want a YJ with a half cab top.
What an interesting combination you might want. How fun.
All I can say is, if you ever obtain that, remember that joyous feeling you have right now.
Yes.
Bottle it up, and when the Jeep kicks you a lot, open it up and go, I wanted this.
That's right.
Neil does that every day.
I do. That is how I get through the day sometimes. And on that note, folks, we do have a lot of Jeeps to get to. If you want to hear about what's happened in the interim, I'm sure we'll have some updates for you. We've got a lot of Jeeps to work on. Until next time, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
I wanted this. I feel like I have to.
That is your mantra.
I did this to myself.
Yep. Amazing what ice cream can fix.
For those that don't know, a lot of workplaces have a sidebar or flask in the drawer, bottles hidden somewhere for those days or those moments.
We have a freezer.
We have an ice cream bar.
We do. And I've invested in it in
no
the last
liquor,
couple of months.
just ice cream.
Just ice cream.
Yeah.
And life really starts to weigh on me. And last week I threw an impromptu ice cream sundae party because I was just done. I was...
Jeeps had kicked him.
Oh,
and ran
so
over
much.
him.
Oh, so much. So much.
So we've been off quite a while.
Yes.
So
You've been a very busy beaver.
I have. I had a guy ask me yesterday, it's like, so are you going to drive the T this summer? I was like, no, I don't have any intentions of doing that. He said, well, you've been making a lot of progress.
Making a ton of progress.
I accidentally made it look like a whole car.
You did.
At this point, it has a frame under the body, and it has a front axle and front brakes, and it has wheels and tires, and it has a rear end and a motor sitting in it, a transmission case, and
So what I heard is you're going to be driving it this summer.
Right? I feel like that makes sense to me.
so I've been having lots of fun with it. If you're interested in that project, go on to my Instagram. That's where I try to share that with the world. For all the updates, I'll show basically as I work along. This past weekend's Triumph was sticking a F2 to F5, so a big truck from like 48-ish to 52-ish in there because everybody said it wouldn't fit, and it fits great.
What part?
Steering box.
Steering box. I didn't hear that. I didn't
okay.
see steering. I didn't hear steering box.
Yeah,
So you
so
put a
it's
big truck steering box
Yep. And
on this car.
Yep, and it's told that the forefathers have said that if you do this, it makes it like it has power steering because this box is
It's so
designed.
robust. It's so big.
It's made to turn 20-inch tall tires, old bias plies, that's when trucks were trucks and they were heavy and massive.
Sure.
So now that I'm asking it to turn a tiny 560/15 tire, it's going to be like one finger. I'm told. We'll see.
Interesting.
But so far, looks like it fits pretty good. So I'm excited about that. Lots of trimming and finessing and critiquing, but that is what the whole build is. So for those that don't know, this car right now, we're just doing mock-up. We're putting everything together kind of as it comes, as it leaks or rust or whatever, and then the car will have to come completely apart. That's when the restorative process will go through the axle, through the rear end, through the gearbox, through the steering box, and then paint, and then reassembly of all that. So that's why I'm saying like it's probably not going to run this year and go down the road because it is just in the mock-up stage. And we're making basically a solid of Ford from 1926 to somewhere in the 50s. So
sure. Well, that's makes sense for a Ford. So
yeah, absolutely.
that's how they work. They came off the line as far as I'm concerned. And not to explicitly kick you in the feels, but as a audience wanting to know, because I've fielded this question for you a couple times, and certainly I know other people ask, how's your building?
Building is holding strong with the wind that we've had off and on because of all of our great nail installation.
We
that
had
Jeff.
some crazy wind in the
Yeah.
past, month or so.
But I am a big baby and don't like to be cold or wet or snowy. So right around Thanksgiving, I pretty much stored everything away, pulled the plug, gave Jeff a vacation from building.
From Jeff the Builder.
Yep.
And we have not done anything on it since then. And I hope to reconvene when it's a little bit nicer outside and we can actually have tools out and not be trying to pack them away
Or blown away.
But we are basically down to the roof structure. And then we have some framing we need to do. and then we might be able to sheet it, I think. But I'm not the expert. I just try to hold things and get tools, nails, and equipment, and say, "Here, Jeff, tell me what to do." And he has learned. He has to be very explicit.
If you tell him to go attach a board and don't tell him to use a level, the board just gets thrown on there. It doesn't matter. And all 200 nails that he has at his disposal go in.
It's true. And if you don't specify that you need not that part of the board, but that part of the board, it's dealer's choice.
I have I'm gonna steal your thunder and go off of your building escapades, and of course I am constantly via my Google photo memories and my Facebook memories now being reminded of just how long I've broken ground.
Doesn't that hurt?
Oh, just absolutely terrible how long I've broken ground on this house build. Now, the compound is gorgeous at this point. It's fun to drive onto the property. I was out there walking the dogs, running my dogs last night, and the sky is gorgeous and it's quiet, and we've got like solar lights and it's flickering off the snow, and we've got multiple outbuildings now, and it's cool, but I don't live there, right?
Right.
And it's painful in that regard that how much time, energy, and effort has been invested in this space that I don't actually occupy full time.
Not to mention how much more is left to be able to occupy.
Correct. I've tried to convince myself that if you were an individual who owned a cottage in a destination space, maybe it was a lakefront cottage or a cabin in the woods, that going to this space brings you joy regardless of the fact that you don't live there.
Right.
It brings you joy on the way there. And then when you get there, you realize that the roof leaks, that the front door doesn't quite close right. You were supposed to
such a negative Nancy.
You're supposed to bring that tool.
I get there and go, man, this place has so much potential. I just can't wait to get it done.
No doubt, right? Okay, I'm with Jeff here.
Scott's going, this leaks, this sucks. I don't want to be here. Bye.
And the good news is I don't have that experience that it's kind of like a YJ. Is that what you said?
Yes. Like buying a YJ.
Oh boy.
That's so true. Your scenario is like a YJ. I'd like this Jeep. This thing is a piece of trash.
Yep. Oh, wow.
That's awesome. It has no redeeming quality. I don't care what you say, Rob. And if stock capacity, it's
the only reason his is good is because it's only like a quarter Jeep left.
A 95 4-cylinder 5-speed is maybe the only acceptable YJ at this point.
You said 4-cylinder?
Did I say 4-cylinder?
You did.
I'm sorry.
You did.
4.0 6-cylinder. My bad.
You've been hanging around me too much.
Oh, goodness. Anyways, so what I have been working on, because I have not had, between my kids' activities and being healthy or not in this wintry season, I've got, as I mentioned, multiple Jeep projects that do not get touched. So that sucks. Fortunately, I've driven my wife's Jeep a lot, but it's falling apart, so that's cool. I felt some type of way about Jeeps recently. If anybody needs to know,
we take donations ice cream. I like strawberry.
Yeah. I'm a vanilla ice cream guy. That's the only thing vanilla, but regardless.
He'll take pumpkin spice.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Anyways, I have kind of gone forward and all of these outbuildings, because we're like 4 years in, we still don't have electricity out there. I've converted everything off of inverters and deep cycle batteries and LEDs, and that's been a little bit of my project. So all of my outbuildings have electricity at them, but it's off-grid electricity. And that's been something that I've been able to control and kind of establish, so that in these winter months, I am able to still use those spaces, despite the challenges that the lack of daylight and our work schedules present.
Yep.
My outbuilding has solar as well. It just only works when the daylight's out.
Mine are actually off of deep cycle batteries at this point, but
that's all right.
It's just on the sun when it's not cloudy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, there's that. And like I said, I don't have a good thing to say about my own Jeep project, so I defer to Jeffrey.
I mean, a lot of work on the nonprofit with the end of the year, trying to do all the closing books, the tax forms, everything involved with that. So that's a lot on its own. Of course, planning for the new year with the nonprofit and all that type of stuff. Big grant was awarded to the nonprofit for $10,000 towards strategic reinvestment. So that's really fun and exciting, but also very challenging with the amount of extra work that adds to it. And then otherwise, the only other big update I had was that Kristen and I got to go enjoy the Steelers versus Ravens game, and that was an absolute amazing game to go to. What an experience. We got to do some tailgating. We got to see the drum line up close and personal. I mean, it was really fun experience all the way to the anxiety-riddled end of that game, where everyone in the stadium starts to leave because the game's over. The Ravens are kicking the field goal for the win, and they missed.
Right.
And the Steelers win, and they're in the playoffs. And I got to go through it again tonight, watching the game with the anxiety of them playing against the Texans, which will undoubtedly come down to a nail biter at the end, and who knows who's going to win.
No doubt. It's, like I said, if you're into the foosball, it's been an exciting season for a lot of people. I do want to, Jerry Huber, and of course, I always tremendously respect what so much of our audience brings, because we have such an eclectic, very cool, connected group of people who are part of this greater podcast family. But Jerry was the man. He was literally in charge of the assembly plant in this era that we largely discussed today, or at least we're kind of joking about the YJ. And he was talking about a prototype half cab soft top for a YJ, and he has an example of it that was created in 1990. After a 750-mile trip to Massachusetts in his YJ, and he's still functioning today.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I you know what? One of I enjoy emails and messages from so many people who find this podcast to be part of their infotainment. But I am in awe over the individuals who make up this larger podcast family and Jeep family that we are so closely associated with, because and I don't want to explicitly, because there's just so many unique people who played such a pivotal role in the history of the Jeep brand, and I'm just always so in awe of, I've already mentioned a couple of them today, and the community as a whole. And it's cool to hear these tidbits, like from Fred with his fiberglass molds that he has available, or Jerry and the prototype stuff and the work that he did, and Rob and the work that they're doing at Bantam, and Nathan and Trail Hero X, and the show Jeeps, the Genie. I mean, we could do a whole podcast about the people that make this podcast unique in such an impactful way. On that note, that's a good way for me to add in, because I was feeling some type of way about my personal project. But until next time, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.